That expensive course you once hesitated on suddenly makes sense, because you realize increasing your income by even 10% would pay for it quickly. Your relationship with your career also changes. With $100,000 saved, you're no longer working just to survive, you're working to grow. That shift creates a level of professional confidence that can't be faked. You negotiate harder because you're not desperate. You take on challenges because failure won't destroy you. You speak up in meetings because losing your job wouldn't ruin your life. That confidence creates a feedback loop. Better decisions lead to better outcomes, which create more confidence. You start thinking strategically about your career instead of just trying to stay afloat. But no one prepares you for how weird social dynamics get at this level. Suddenly, you're the friend with money. People assume you should cover dinners. Family members expect financial advice. Lending money suddenly feels complicated. Dating becomes strange too. Savings make you more attractive, but not always for the right reasons. At the same time, you become far more aware of other people's financial habits. Poor money management stops being quirky and starts looking like a serious red flag. Another unexpected shift happens around spending. You develop what I call strategic spending. You stop buying things impulsively or avoiding purchases purely because they're expensive. Instead, you think in terms of return on investment. A gym membership becomes a health investment. A course becomes an income investment. A high-quality mattress becomes a sleep investment. You spend more on what matters and cut aggressively on what doesn't. Before $100,000, investing felt like gambling. After it, market volatility becomes opportunity. You finally understand why investors like Warren Buffett get excited during crashes. This shift allows wealth to compound the way it's supposed to. The wealthy don't win by being safe. They win by being able to take smart risks when others are paralyzed by fear. Here's where things get really wild. $100,000 changes your relationship with time. When you're broke, you can only think about immediate needs. Psychologists call this temporal myopia. Savings give you temporal flexibility. You start thinking in years instead of weeks. Long-term plans stop feeling impossible. You can afford patience. Risk perception flips too. Having more money often makes you more willing to take calculated risks. Starting a business, changing careers, investing in yourself all become possible. This creates the $100,000 paradox. You have more to lose, yet you feel safer taking smart risks because your foundation is solid. Small expenses stop stressing you out. A $50 decision becomes irrelevant. Perspective replaces panic. At this level, compound interest becomes addictive. Watching your money generate $8,000, $10,000 per year changes how you see the world. You realize wealth isn't magic, it's math plus time. You stop thinking about spending money and start thinking about deploying capital. Spending makes money disappear. Deploying capital expects it to return with more. Career choices transform. Jobs become optional, not prisons. You gain runway to pivot, retrain, or build something new. You shift from avoidance motivation to approach motivation. You stop running from being broke and start running towards something meaningful. You also develop what I call financial recognition. You can instantly identify others who understand money. Their behavior gives them away. Material desires flip. Once you can afford almost anything, you start questioning whether you even want it. Luxury loses its grip. Time horizons expand. Decisions are made with your future self in mind. You also become invisible to predatory financial systems. Payday lenders disappear. High-interest traps lose relevance. Meanwhile, banks suddenly want your attention. Crossing $100,000 reveals how much of the economy depends on people being broke and how different the rules are once you re-not. Professionally, you stop being an employee who needs a job and become a professional who chooses one. That distinction changes everything. Confidence attracts opportunity. Opportunity builds wealth. When your money starts working consistently, checking your investments becomes rewarding instead of stressful. So no $100,000 isn't just a savings goal. It's an entry point into an entirely different financial reality. If you're still working toward it, remember, every dollar saved is buying you options, confidence, and time. The journey matters as much as the number. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe for more deep dives into financial psychology. Comment where you are on your journey and hit like so others can discover why $100,000 is the milestone nobody talks about. The challenge is patience. We live in a world where food arrives in minutes, movies stream instantly, and purchases take one click. Waiting decades for results feels unbearable. But the key difference between people who build wealth and those who don't is this: invested money doesn't sit still. It earns returns, and those returns begin earning returns of their own. This isn't a shortcut or a fantasy. It's basic mathematics that has created wealth for generations. Yet most people either don't understand it or don't trust it. That's why compound interest, which Albert Einstein was famously said to call the eighth wonder of the world, is so powerful. Whether he actually said it or not, the idea is correct. Those who understand compound interest benefit from it. Those who don't spend their lives working harder while their money does almost nothing. Let's look at real numbers. Suppose you invest $500 every month. That's about $125 a week. It's not insignificant, but it's also not unrealistic for most working adults. It's roughly what many people spend on eating out, subscriptions, coffee, and impulse purchases. If your investments earn an average annual return of 7%, which is actually conservative based on historical market data, it takes about 7 years and 9 months to reach your first $100,000. That may sound like a long time, but think about this: 7 years will pass whether you invest or not. During those early years, most of the money in your account comes from your own contributions. Out of the first $100,000, about $46,000 is your savings, and roughly $54,000 comes from investment growth. That's solid, but it doesn't feel life-changing yet. This is where many people quit. They decide the process is too slow. What they don't realize is that they've already completed the hardest part. They've built the foundation. Like learning an instrument, progress feels slow at first, but once you reach a certain level, improvement accelerates. Although it feels like you're only 1/10 of the way to $1 million, the reality is much better. From here, growth speeds up. The next milestone, $200,000, arrives much faster. It takes only about 5 more years to double your money. So after around 13 years, you reach $200,000. At that point, you've contributed about $78,000 in total, while $122,000 comes from growth. Compound interest is now doing most of the work. Even though the number looks modest compared to $1 million, you're far closer than you think. That's why the first $100,000 is considered the most difficult. As time goes on, compound interest becomes the dominant force. All of this comes from consistent $500 monthly contributions. No extreme sacrifices. Just discipline and time. The difference between people who succeed and those who don't is consistency. By year 22, your balance reaches around $600,000, bringing us to the second major tipping point, roughly $650,000. This is where life starts to feel very different. The median U.S. household earns about $78,000 per year through active work. But with $650,000 invested at an 8% return, you generate about $52,000 annually in passive income. That income alone can dramatically reduce financial stress. It may not fully replace a salary, but it provides options. Job loss becomes manageable. Health issues aren't financially devastating. Risk feels different when your money is supporting you. At this stage, many people feel comfortable taking opportunities they once avoided. Starting a business, learning new skills, traveling, or redesigning their lifestyle becomes possible. Wealth isn't about showing off. It's about freedom and choice. Inflation is a valid concern, but if your portfolio grows at 8 to 9% and you only spend 6 to 7%, your wealth continues to grow while maintaining purchasing power. Social Security, even if reduced in the future, adds another layer of income. Finally, there's the 7-figure milestone. Reaching your first million, which happens around year 29 with consistent investing, creates a deep psychological shift. You may not feel rich, but you feel secure. You feel validated. You've proven that wealth building works for ordinary people with discipline. At this point, opportunities expand. Investing in businesses, real estate, or new ventures becomes realistic. The fear of total financial collapse fades. Generating $40,000, $50,000 per year passively provides peace of mind. Some people stop pushing after this milestone. That's a mistake. The math becomes even more powerful beyond $1 million. Going from $1 million to $1.5 million requires only a 50% increase. From $2 million to $3 million is even easier. Each additional million requires less effort than the last. This is how wealthy people think. Every dollar has future potential. Spending decisions are weighed against long-term growth, and market crashes? Over decades, they actually help consistent investors by allowing them to buy more at lower prices. So there you have it. 3 net worth milestones that change everything. $100,000 when compound interest truly begins working. $650,000 when passive income reshapes financial security. $1 million when you realize you've mastered a game most people never understand. The math is real. The only requirement is patience. Start now, because decades from today, you'll either be grateful you did or wishing you had.